The transport ship descended through layers of shimmering atmosphere toward the crystal city of Villani's Prime. Ben Torres pressed his face against the viewport, watching as towering spires of pure crystal caught the light from 3 different suns. Each building seemed alive, pulsing with soft colors that changed like a slow heartbeat. "First time seeing a Villani world?" asked Captain Maya from the pilot's seat. "First time seeing anything like this," Ben replied, checking the diplomatic pouch secured to his chest. Inside were the peace treaties that could end a 50-year Cold War between humanity and the Villani Empire. As a junior diplomatic courier, this was the most important mission of his life. The ship landed on a platform that looked like it was carved from a single massive gem. The air outside was warm and sweet, filled with the sound of crystal formations singing in harmony with the wind. Ben stepped onto the platform, his simple brown diplomatic uniform looking plain against the beautiful surroundings. A group of figures approached from the main spire. They moved like dancers, their feet barely touching the ground. The Villani were tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to be made of living glass. Their bodies shifted between different colors as they walked, creating patterns that Ben found both beautiful and impossible to understand. At the front of the group walked someone who made Ben's breath catch in his throat. She was clearly Villani, but there was something different about her. Her skin glowed with a steady silver light, and her movements had a confidence that spoke of royal training. When she came closer, Ben could see that her eyes were the color of deep space, filled with stars that actually seemed to twinkle. "Welcome to Villani's Prime, Courier Torres," she said in perfect English, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I am Princess Kira, 3rd heir to the Crystal Throne. My father, Emperor Zorith, has asked me to be your guide during your stay." Ben bowed in the human fashion, unsure of Villani customs. "Your Highness, I'm honored. I carry greetings from Earth and the United Human Council." Princess Kira's skin shifted to a warm golden color, which Ben hoped was a good sign. "Please, just call me Kira. We will be spending much time together over the next few days. The treaty ceremonies are very important to both our peoples." As they walked through the crystal corridors of the palace, Kira explained Villani culture to Ben. Their skin colors showed their emotions and intentions, she told him. Gold meant happiness or approval, blue indicated calm or thought, red showed anger or danger, and silver was the color of royalty and wisdom. "What about that purple color I saw when we first met?" Ben asked. Kira's skin flickered briefly to that same purple before settling back to gold. "That is curiosity. You humans are very different from us. Your emotions are hidden inside, while ours show on the surface. It makes us wonder what you are really thinking." They entered a vast chamber where the walls were covered in floating crystals that moved in slow, complex patterns. Each crystal rang with a different musical note, creating a song that seemed to have no beginning or end. "This is the Chamber of Memory," Kira explained. "Each crystal holds the story of our people. Some are older than your son." Ben watched the crystals dance, amazed by their beauty. "How long have the Villani lived among the stars?" "We were exploring the galaxy when your species was still learning to make fire," Kira said, but her tone was not proud or dismissive. "Yet in all that time, we have never met a people quite like humans. You grow and change so quickly. In just a few hundred years, you went from a single world to an interstellar nation. Is that why the Emperor wants peace?" Ben asked. Kira's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue. "Partly. But there are other reasons. Not everyone in our empire agrees with my father's desire for friendship with humanity. Some believe humans are too dangerous, too unpredictable. They point to your wars and your willingness to fight as proof that you cannot be trusted." Ben felt a chill despite the warm air. "And what do you believe?" "I believe that a people who can go from making fire to traveling between stars in such a short time must have something special inside them. Something we can learn from." Her skin had turned to a color Ben had not seen before, a deep purple mixed with gold. "But I also believe that same strength could be very dangerous if turned against us." Over the next 2 days, Kira showed Ben the wonders of Vellani civilization. They visited libraries where knowledge was stored in living crystal networks, gardens where plants grew in zero gravity, and workshops where artists shaped light itself into sculptures. Ben was amazed by everything he saw, but he also noticed things that troubled him. Vellani society was beautiful and peaceful, but it was also fragile. They had lived for so long without war that they had almost forgotten how to defend themselves. Their technology was advanced, but it was all designed for creation and exploration, not for protection. Ben began to understand why some Vellani might fear humanity's more aggressive nature. On the third day, Princess Kira brought Ben to the floating gardens for the Festival of Three Suns. It was a celebration that happened only once every few years, when all three of Vellani's prime suns aligned in the sky. The gardens themselves were massive platforms that floated high above the crystal city, connected by bridges of solid light. Thousands of Vellani had gathered for the festival, their skins creating a light show that rivaled the three suns above. Musicians played instruments that turned sound into visible color, while dancers moved through the air using their natural flying ability. Ben had learned that all Vellani could fly using bioluminescent wings that grew from their backs, though most kept them folded and hidden. "It's beautiful," Ben said, watching a group of children race through the air, their laughter creating sparkles of yellow light around them. "The Festival of Three Suns represents unity," Kira explained. "Three different stars, each with their own light, coming together to create something greater than any could alone." Ben understood the message. The festival was also about the hoped-for unity between humans and Vellani, two very different peoples finding a way to work together. As the celebration continued, Ben noticed something that made him uneasy. Small groups of Vellani with red-tinged skin stood apart from the main crowd. They watched the festivities with expressions that seemed angry or disapproving. When they looked at Ben, their red coloring grew deeper. "Princess," Ben said quietly, "who are those people?" Kira followed his gaze, and her skin immediately shifted to a worried blue. "They call themselves the Pure Light Faction. They believe the Vellani should remain separate from all other species, especially humans. Their leader is Lord Vex, my father's former military advisor." "Are they dangerous?" "They have never acted with violence," Kira said, but her blue coloring was now mixed with streaks of red. "But they have been growing in number since the peace talks began. Lord Vex speaks of human aggression and claims that any alliance will corrupt our peaceful nature." Ben watched the red-skinned Vellani more carefully. Something about their body language reminded him of soldiers he had known, despite Kira's assurance that they were peaceful. His instincts, trained by years in Earth's diplomatic service, were telling him to be alert. The main ceremony began as the three suns reached perfect alignment overhead. Princess Kira was supposed to perform the traditional flight of unity, where she would soar between the floating platforms while the crowd sang the ancient songs of harmony. It was a beautiful ritual, but it also meant she would be alone and exposed in the open air. As Kira prepared for her flight, extending the shimmering wings from her back, Ben's unease grew stronger. The red-skinned Vellani had moved to strategic positions around the gardens. They were too spread out, too well positioned. It looked like a military formation. "Kira, wait," Ben said, grabbing her arm. "What's wrong?" she asked, her skin flickering between blue and gold. Before Ben could answer, the attack began. The weapons were unlike anything Ben had ever seen. Beams of twisted energy that seemed to bend space itself shot out from hidden positions around the gardens. They moved in slow, spiraling patterns, almost too beautiful to be deadly. Ben's military training, learned during his service before joining the diplomatic corps, identified them immediately as some kind of directed energy weapons. But these were not ordinary weapons. The energy beams passed through Vellani bodies like they were not there, causing the victims to simply fade away as if they had never existed. The weapons were designed specifically to target Vellani biology, and they were devastatingly effective. Panic erupted throughout the floating gardens. Vellani scattered in all directions, their skin flashing bright red with terror. The beautiful festival turned into a nightmare of screaming and confusion. Ben saw the truth in an instant. This was not a random attack. The spiraling energy beams were all converging on one target, Princess Kira. The Pure Light faction was not trying to kill random civilians. They were trying to assassinate the princess and blame it on human weapons technology. Kira, get down! Ben shouted. But the princess was frozen in shock, her wings spread wide, making her an even easier target. The deadly energy beams were closing in from all sides, forming a net of destruction that would disintegrate her in seconds. Ben did not think. He did not calculate odds or consider consequences. He simply moved. His human reflexes, faster than Villani biology allowed, carried him forward in a desperate leap. He crashed into Princess Kira just as the energy beams reached their target, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her down toward the platform below. The quantum disruptor beams, designed to unmake Villani matter at the molecular level, struck Ben instead. Pain unlike anything he had ever experienced shot through his body. It felt like every cell was being torn apart and rebuilt incorrectly. His nervous system screamed as alien energy flooded through it, trying to break down his human biology in the same way it would destroy a Villani. But human bodies were different. Where Villani were elegant and refined, humans were tough and adaptable. Ben's denser cellular structure, evolved on a harsh world under a single brutal sun, absorbed the energy that should have killed him instantly. Instead of disintegrating, he absorbed it, his body fighting the alien technology with every fiber of its being. Both Ben and Princess Kira tumbled through the air, falling toward the crystal spires far below. Ben was barely conscious, his body glowing with residual quantum energy that sparked and crackled around him. Kira, trained in aerial combat despite her peaceful nature, spread her wings and fought to control their descent. Ben! Ben, stay awake, she cried, her skin cycling rapidly through every color he had seen and many he had not. But Ben could not respond. The quantum energy was still working through his system, and his human biology was changing in ways he could not understand. His last conscious thought was wonder at how beautiful Kira looked with her wings spread wide, catching the light from the three suns as she fought to save them both. The royal guard arrived within minutes, their own wings carrying them swiftly to the scene of the attack. They found Princess Kira alive and unharmed, cradling the unconscious form of the human diplomat. Ben's body was still glowing with quantum energy, but he was alive. The attackers had vanished as quickly as they had appeared, but their message was clear. They had shown that they could reach the princess anywhere, anytime. Only Ben's impossible sacrifice had saved her life. Take him to the Royal Medical Center immediately, Princess Kira commanded, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. Her skin had turned to a color none of the guards had ever seen before, pure white shot through with silver, the color of absolute determination. As they carried Ben's unconscious form toward the palace, his body continued to glow. The quantum energy that should have killed him was instead being absorbed and transformed by his uniquely human biology. In the Royal Medical Center, Villani physicians worked frantically to understand what was happening to him. They had never seen anything like it. Ben's immune system was not just fighting off the quantum disruptor energy, it was learning from it, adapting to it, creating defenses against weapons that no organic being should be able to survive. For 3 days, Ben lay in a healing chamber while his body performed the impossible. The attending physicians, the finest in the Villani Empire, watched in amazement as human biology accomplished what their most advanced medical technology could not. And on the morning of the 4th day, as Princess Kira sat beside his bed, her skin showing the dull gray of exhaustion and worry, Ben Torres opened his eyes. "Did we miss the rest of the festival?" he asked, his voice weak but steady. Princess Kira's skin exploded into brilliant gold as she laughed and cried at the same time. "You impossible, wonderful, brave fool," she said. "Do you have any idea what you have done?" Ben tried to sit up, feeling strange new energy coursing through his body. "I kept you safe. That's what matters. The entire royal court is assembling to meet you," Kira said. "You have done something that our greatest scientists said was impossible. You have survived a quantum disruptor attack, and not only survived, your body has become immune to such weapons. Ben looked at his hands, which were still faintly glowing with residual energy. I feel different. You are different, Kira said, her skin now showing a complex pattern of silver and gold that Ben somehow understood meant deep respect and affection. And because of your sacrifice, everything else is going to be different too. Outside the medical center, the greatest minds of the Villani Empire were gathering. They came not just to honor the human who had saved their princess, but to understand how his impossible survival might change the balance of power in their galaxy. Ben Torres, a simple diplomatic courier from Earth, was about to become the most important human in Villani space. But first, he had to face the entire royal court and explain how a human's stubborn refusal to let someone die had accomplished what centuries of Villani science could not. The real adventure was just beginning. Ben spent the next hour in the medical center while Villani physicians ran their final tests. His body had completely absorbed the quantum energy, and the faint glow under his skin was the only sign that anything unusual had happened. Dr. Nala, the chief medical officer, studied her instruments with expressions of disbelief. Your cellular structure has fundamentally changed, she told Ben, her skin showing the deep blue of scientific fascination. The quantum disruptor energy should have unmade you at the molecular level. Instead, your human biology has incorporated it into your immune system. What does that mean? Ben asked, flexing his fingers and watching the subtle light patterns move under his skin. It means you are now immune to quantum-based weapons, Dr. Nala explained. But more than that, your body can detect quantum signatures from a great distance. You have become a living sensor for the very weapons that nearly killed you. Princess Kira entered the medical bay, wearing formal robes that shimmered like starlight. Her skin showed the silver patterns of royalty, but Ben could see traces of worry in the blue undertones. The court is assembled, she said. My father wishes to meet the human who saved his daughter's life. Ben stood up, surprised at how strong he felt. The quantum energy had not just changed his immune system, it had enhanced his physical capabilities in ways he was only beginning to understand. Will you tell me what to expect? The Chamber of Singing Crystals holds over 300 of our greatest leaders, Kira explained as they walked through the palace corridors. Scientists, military advisors, planetary governors, and the Council of Elders. They have all come to see you. That sounds terrifying. Kira's skin flickered with golden amusement. They are more afraid of you than you are of them. What you did should have been impossible. It has made them question everything they thought they knew about humans. The corridors grew wider and more ornate as they approached the heart of the palace. Other Villani stopped to stare at Ben as they passed, their skin colors shifting through the spectrum of curiosity, fear, and wonder. Word of his survival had spread throughout the city. Princess, Ben said quietly, what happens to the peace treaty now? The attack was meant to stop the alliance between our peoples. That depends on what my father decides, Kira replied. And what you choose to tell the court. They stopped before massive doors made of crystal so clear it was almost invisible. Beyond them, Ben could hear the sound of hundreds of voices creating a harmony that seemed to make the air itself vibrate. Guards flanked the entrance, their skin showing the disciplined silver of the royal military. Remember, Kira said, placing a gentle hand on Ben's shoulder, you saved my life. Whatever else happens, you have earned the gratitude of the royal family. The doors opened silently, and Ben stepped into the most magnificent chamber he had ever seen. The Chamber of Singing Crystals was a vast dome filled with floating crystal formations that moved in slow, complex patterns. Each crystal rang with musical notes that blended together into an ever-changing symphony. The walls themselves seemed alive, pulsing with soft light that responded to the emotions of everyone present. Hundreds of Villani filled the chamber, arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. Their combined skin patterns created a light show that was almost overwhelming to human eyes. At the center of it all, on a throne carved from a single massive crystal, sat Emperor Zorith. The emperor was ancient even by Vellani standards, his skin showing the deep silver of great age and wisdom. But his eyes were sharp and alert, and Ben could feel the weight of his attention as he approached the throne. "Courier Ben Torres of Earth," the emperor said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber, "approach and be recognized." Ben walked toward the throne, very aware that every eye in the chamber was watching him. The crystal formations above seemed to respond to his presence, their music growing more complex and harmonious. When he reached the platform, he bowed in the human fashion. "Your Imperial Majesty," Ben said, "I bring greetings from Earth and the United Human Council." "And you bring something more," Emperor Zorith replied. "You bring questions that my wisest advisors cannot answer." The emperor gestured to the assembled court. "Tell us, Ben Torres, how does a human survive weapons designed to unmake matter itself?" Ben looked around the chamber, seeing hundreds of faces watching him with expressions of curiosity, fear, and hope. He realized that his answer would determine not just his own fate, but the future relationship between humanity and the Vellani Empire. "Your Majesty," Ben began, "I don't think I survived because I'm special. I think I survived because I'm human." A ripple of sound went through the chamber as the Vellani translated his words for those who did not speak English. The emperor leaned forward slightly. "Explain." Ben took a deep breath. "Vellani society is beautiful and advanced. You've created wonders that humans can barely imagine. But you've also lived in peace for so long that your biology has adapted to that peace. Your bodies are elegant and efficient, but they're also specialized." He gestured to himself. "Humans evolved on a harsh world under a dangerous star. We faced ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, and predators that wanted to eat us. Our bodies learned to adapt to anything, to survive things that should kill us. We're not elegant or efficient, we're stubborn." Several Vellani in the crowd showed golden amusement at his words, but the emperor remained serious. "Continue." "When those quantum weapons hit me, my body didn't try to fight them the way a Vellani body would," Ben explained. "It did what human bodies always do when faced with something new and dangerous, it learned from it. It adapted. It turned a weapon into a defense." Dr. Nala stepped forward from the crowd. "Your Imperial Majesty, our medical scans confirm this. The human immune system has incorporated the quantum energy and created antibodies against such weapons. It is unlike anything in our scientific understanding." "And what does this mean for the future?" asked Lord Commander Thane, the head of Vellani military forces. His skin showed the disciplined patterns of a career soldier, but Ben could see traces of worry in the underlying colors. Ben looked at Princess Kira, who nodded encouragingly. "It means that the Pure Light faction made a mistake when they tried to kill Princess Kira. They wanted to blame humans for the attack and use fear to stop the peace treaty. Instead, they've proven that humans and Vellani are stronger together than either species is alone." "Elaborate," the Emperor commanded. "The attackers used quantum disruptors because they knew Vellani biology couldn't resist them," Ben said. "But they didn't know how human biology would react. Now I'm immune to their weapons, and more than that, I can sense quantum signatures. I can help you find the conspirators and stop future attacks." A new voice spoke from the crowd. "And why should we trust you?" Lord Vex stepped forward, his skin showing the angry red patterns that Ben remembered from the festival. Several other red-tinged Vellani moved to support him. "Lord Vex," Princess Kira said, her voice carrying a warning. "You dare question the human who saved my life?" "I question the human whose presence has brought violence to our peaceful world," Lord Vex replied. "Before the humans came, we had no quantum disruptors, no assassination attempts, no weapons designed to kill Vellani. Their very presence corrupts our society." Ben felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to remain calm. "Lord Vex, with respect, the weapons that attacked Princess Kira were made by Vellani, not humans. The conspiracy comes from within your own empire, not from Earth." "Prove it," Lord Vex challenged. Ben looked at the Emperor, who gestured for him to continue. Your Majesty, the quantum disruptors were specifically designed to target Villani biology while leaving human tissue undamaged. That level of biological knowledge could only come from Villani scientists. The attackers also knew exactly when and where Princess Kira would be vulnerable during the festival. That information could only come from within the royal court itself. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Many Villani showed the rapid color changes that indicated extreme agitation. Emperor Zorith raised his hand for silence. These are serious accusations, Courier Torres. They're not accusations, Your Majesty. They're observations. And I can prove them. Ben stepped toward Lord Vex, feeling the quantum energy in his enhanced nervous system respond to something nearby. I can sense quantum signatures now, remember? And Lord Vex is carrying a quantum device right now. Lord Vex's skin flashed to pure red. You lie. Do I? Ben moved closer, following the sensation that was growing stronger. It's in your left sleeve. A small quantum communicator, probably used to coordinate the attack. The royal guards immediately surrounded Lord Vex. A search revealed exactly what Ben had described, a small device that pulsed with the same quantum signature as the weapons used in the festival attack. How did you know? Lord Vex demanded, his defiant expression crumbling. Because my body has become a living quantum detector, Ben explained. Every conspirator carrying similar technology will light up like a beacon to me. Over the next hour, Ben's new ability helped the royal guards identify 17 members of the Pure Light conspiracy, including several high-ranking officials who had access to royal security protocols. The quantum communicators led them to a hidden base where Villani scientists had been developing weapons specifically designed to kill their own people while leaving humans unharmed. The plan was elegant in its evil, Princess Kira explained to Ben as they watched the conspirators being taken away. Kill me with weapons that appeared to be human-made, blame Earth for the attack, and use the outrage to destroy the peace treaty. But they didn't count on human stubbornness, Ben said. No, they didn't. Emperor Zorith approached them, his ancient features showing satisfaction. Lord Vex believed that humans were too dangerous to befriend. He never considered that they might also be too useful to ignore. The formal ceremony began an hour later. Ben found himself standing in the center of the chamber while Emperor Zorith addressed the assembled court. Today we have learned that our preconceptions about humanity were incomplete, the Emperor declared. We saw their capacity for war and feared their aggression. We failed to see their capacity for sacrifice and their gift for adaptation. The Emperor gestured to Ben. Ben Torres threw himself into harm's way to save my daughter, not because he was ordered to, but because he believed it was right. His human biology then accomplished what our greatest scientists declared impossible. He survived a quantum disruptor attack and gained immunity to such weapons. The crystals above sang in harmony as the Emperor continued. But most importantly, he used his new abilities not for personal gain, but to protect our people from enemies within our own ranks. This is the true measure of humanity, not their weapons or their wars, but their willingness to stand between the innocent and danger. Ben felt overwhelmed by the attention, but Princess Kira's encouraging presence beside him helped him stay focused. Therefore, the Emperor announced, I hereby declare that the peace treaty between the Villani Empire and the United Human Council is not only approved, but expanded. We invite humanity to become our partners in defending against quantum-based threats throughout the galaxy. The chamber erupted in musical celebration as hundreds of Villani showed their approval through brilliant golden skin patterns. Later, as the formal ceremonies concluded, Ben found himself alone with Princess Kira on a balcony overlooking the Crystal City. The three suns were setting, casting the spires in shades of gold and silver. What happens now? Ben asked. Now we work together, Kira replied. Your immunity to quantum weapons makes you uniquely valuable, but more than that, your presence here has shown both our peoples something important. Which is? That our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Villani elegance and human adaptability. Our wisdom and your courage. Our peace and your willingness to fight when necessary. Kira's skin showed the deep silver of profound thought. Together, we can face threats that neither species could handle alone. Ben nodded, understanding the larger implications. The Pure Light Conspiracy won't be the last group to try quantum weapons. No, it won't. But now we have a way to detect and stop them. And more importantly, we have proof that humans and Villani can trust each other even in the most dangerous circumstances. As they watched the stars emerge in the darkening sky, Ben realized that his simple diplomatic mission had become something much larger. He was no longer just a courier carrying messages between worlds, he was the living symbol of an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. "There's one thing I still don't understand," Ben said. "What's that? Why did you trust me so quickly? From the moment we met, you treated me like a friend, not a potential enemy." Kira smiled, her skin showing the warm gold of happiness mixed with something deeper. "Because I could see what Lord Vex could not. You never once asked what you would gain from helping me. You only asked what you could do to keep others safe. That told me everything I needed to know about humans." The next morning brought news that the peace treaty had been ratified by both the Villani Senate and the Human Council. Trade agreements, scientific exchanges, and mutual defense pacts would follow. But for Ben, the most important outcome was simpler. He had proven that humans belonged among the stars not as conquerors, but as protectors. His willingness to sacrifice everything for someone he barely knew had demonstrated the best of human nature to an entire galactic empire. As he prepared to return to Earth with news of the successful treaty, Ben carried with him more than just diplomatic success. He carried the quantum immunity that would help both species defend against future threats, and the knowledge that humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons or technology, but its refusal to let others face danger alone. The story of the human who saved an alien princess would be told throughout the Villani Empire for generations to come. But for Ben Torres, it was simply what any decent person would do when someone they cared about was in trouble. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.